From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
and this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, could sanity be entering the equation for new hires? The Athletic does an autopsy on a still-alive FSU under Mike Norvell. And over-unders. Let's give away garnet and gold gift cards. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it, take it, energy with benefits. 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine. That's going to be enough energy to get you through 7 hours of your day. Can almost guarantee it. And the benefits include enhanced focus, a better mood. Give it a try. Go to vitaminenergy.com, promo code warchantbogo, warchant, B-O-G-O. Again, buy one, get one free. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminole sports source. $1 for a week. Your subscription to The Athletic. What are you waiting for? So much good content over at warchant.com. Even recruiting stuff, which is crazy to think. This staff recruiting right now, but they are. They're still on the payroll. So are we, myself and Corey Clark. Corey, how are you, friend?
I'm good, buddy. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? We've almost made it to the weekend.
We have.
Technically, we have made it to the weekend. Yeah.
We have. We're recording this a little bit earlier than usual. We do not have the injury designation report at our avail, but you can find that over at warchant.com. And I don't even know how much that really could change unless Tommy was ruled out.
Right.
But when we spoke to Mike on Wednesday, it made it sound like he's been practicing and moving along fine. So we keep our fingers crossed. I want to ask you a random question, Corey. Give me a descriptor adjective for how you would describe, characterize, classify what Toronto did just in Game 4 after losing Game 3 in 18 innings. Like give me a descriptor for what kind of bounce back that was.
Well, look, man, I don't know how it was a response. I don't know if that's technically an adjective, but responsible. I don't know. When you respond to something, what's the adjective there?
I said to my friend group chat, I'm like, this is one of the most incredible things in sports in my lifetime. I feel like to lose a game in that fashion and then come back the next night, and then you
especially with Ohtani on the mound.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're like, chill out. They're like, coming back down from 0-3 is incredible, and I'm like, all right. I'm not denying that. Like, yeah, what the Sox did in 2004 is like without peril. Or without peer, but yeah, just come back on the road next night. Shohei's on the bump. I don't know, but we'll see. I maybe just put the stink on the Jays and the entire country of Canada. Didn't mean to do so, but
yeah. Now the Dodgers will just go beat the tar out of them for 2 days in Canada and win another World Series, which we'll all be very excited about because obviously that's America's team, right?
Yeah,
we all love the Dodgers. That scrappy upstart group with a bunch of millionaires and a billionaire. Yeah, it's fun. It's good times.
Let's get to the rest of the questions from the Renegade Express mailbag. Some news from Thursday that may be tangentially or adjacent to this question. I've been using that word way too much in the month of October. I will retire.
Which one, adjacent or tangentially?
Adjacent. I will retire that for the month of November. Tune back in December when I bring it back out the garage. Sunrise Knoll. He's got a theory that when we lost to Stanford, they gauged James Franklin's interest in the job. Either he was not ready to commit or not interested right now. That's why Mike still has the job. Do you think this is possible? That name, Virginia Tech, seems to have some traction. And where he was previously, Penn State, apparently maybe Matt Rhule no longer available in those sweepstakes. Thursday, ESPN's Pete Thamel reported that they signed a 2-year extension that carries him into 2032 at Nebraska, Rhule, and also includes a $15 million provisional buyout. So if any other university were to snatch him up, not only do they have to pay the freight to hire a guy like Matt Rhule in his annual contract, but also a $15 million kind of penalty to the University of Nebraska, or Nebraska University, rather. So Franklin, Rhule, the carousel, Mike Norvell still in Tallahassee. Thoughts, Corey Clark?
Yeah, you look at it, Penn State, I think, wanted Rhule. I could be wrong. And I think Rhule is a good coach. I think, is Nebraska like 6-1? Like, good for them, right? Like, it's not pretty. That's not marquee games, but I feel like they're 6-1. They got to go play USC this week, so that might be an L. But yeah, man, that for a program that had been dormant really for 20 years, and it had been bad for the last 10 before he got there, like bad, like missing bowls for like 6 and 7 years at a time, not just the 2 that Florida State has missed. Florida State hasn't missed a bowl yet. I don't know why I said that. They could easily get to a bowl. What am I talking about?
6-2, by the way, as well right now, Nebraska. 6-2.
They're 6-2.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, good for them. So,
and Rhule apparently
for them.
Rhule's got a really bad James Franklin stat too in terms of like against ranked teams, quote unquote big games. But he's from there. He went to Penn State. You know, his good friend is the AD at Penn State. Everything seemed to make sense for him to not to go to Penn State. So, or to go to Penn State. So I don't know this alumni ties, the way we feel about our alma mater. I guess maybe sometimes these grown men, which we all are grown men, but these millionaires just maybe gauge things a little bit differently.
Yeah, I just think with the way the governor talked, the Louisiana governor talked on Wednesday night, and then again I think he was on McAfee's show on Thursday talking about these coaching contracts. And he said basically, why not, if these guys believe so much in how good a coach they are, why not have huge incentives in your contract, but not these ridiculous buyouts where you, like as he said the day before, you get rewarded for failure. You get rewarded for being fired. That's a backward system. And maybe this is the hard reset. It didn't sound like Rhule even got a raise. He just got 2 years extended. There was a different number in the buyout. I'm sure they had added some incentives to the contract. If they started adding incentives to these contracts, I'm all about that, man. Go earn your money. But don't just hold a fan base hostage. That's essentially what this Norvell contract does if Florida State doesn't make a change, and I do think they'll make a change if he continues to lose games because you just want a better coach. But the next contract has to be different. It just has to be. And if Rhule was Penn State's main guy and he announced a contract extension, and let's see if Lane Kiffin gets one at Ole Miss that includes a huge incentive-laden contract. Where are Florida, Penn State, and LSU? Where they go? Like right now, would you say Lane Kiffin's the only kind of big name out there? I mean, I guess you'd say James Franklin, but Penn State's not going to hire him. Like, who's Penn State looking at?
Well, that's the thing.
Who's Florida looking? If Kiffin's off the table, who's Florida looking at?
Well, if they go this incentive-laden route everywhere, if you're just that one, lunatic, you'll just be like, all right, well, we're just going to give you a whole bunch of money up front, like guaranteed, and we're not going to base it. And then you take that.
Sure, and then you could have the governor calling you an idiot at a press conference 3 years later when you fired the coach and you owe him $50 million because you went your own way.
4 more years.
Yeah, right. So I hope this is what's happening. I hope there's a pivot in this modern era where you pay the players and they get a lot of money, substantial money. It just, again, I keep reiterating, I will beat the horse until it's just dissolved into goo. But it makes no sense to pay these coaches this kind of money. When we look at what Florida State did after the 2023 season, and we have the power of hindsight, and we've all gone over why they did it. You didn't want to lose them to Alabama, especially after Alabama just snubbed you. There were real conversations. I do think that was a realistic possibility. But what was the reason that Florida State – what were the biggest reasons that Florida State went undefeated in 2023 in hindsight?
Jordan Travis, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, etc.
Yep. So wouldn't you say, like, you could go around the country? What was the biggest reason LSU went undefeated in 19? What was the biggest reason Jimbo went undefeated in 13? Now, back then, you had to accrue the talent. You had to put in the work and convince Joe Burrow to come. You had to get Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and a million other NFL players to come to that LSU team. Jimbo put in work to have a LaMarcus Joyner and a Telvin Smith and a Timmy Jernigan on his defense. It wasn't just Jameis. But now, when you can just stock your roster like Texas Tech did, like these other schools do with just big money, it just makes no sense financially and just fundamentally to pay a head coach a ton of money. The problem with Florida State that they find themselves in is no matter what, they're on the hook for a ton of money. But again, who would be the guarantee? Saban, Smart, probably Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Those are the guarantees that I think if they come to your program,
Lanning?
Your floor is raised significantly. You're going to compete for playoffs and championships. Those three.
What about Dan Lanning?
Other than that, Dan Lanning, yes, correct. Right. So Dan Lanning was a DC before he became a head coach. He had not coached he had not been a head coach at any level. And he was not a guaranteed success. He's really good, and he learned from some really good people, including our own Mike Norvell.
That is correct.
So, yeah, I think Florida State, when you look at the way this market is going, I think it would be a mistake to even be in the suite. If James Franklin said, you've got to pay me $12 million to come coach your team, I would just tell him to go kick rocks. Go enjoy Blacksburg, man. Enjoy Blacksburg. Unless there's another Michael Vick in Newport News, that team has not been truly relevant on a national stage in 25 years. It has not been relevant in any way, shape, or form in 15 years. But good luck. I couldn't believe those. I can't believe those rumors.
Yeah.
Unless nobody else is interested. Why James Franklin would go to Virginia Tech over the likes of Florida, Florida State, or LSU. But what do I know?
Back to Rhule real quick, as Corey was saying, the new deal does not include any change in base compensation, and not that the devil needs an advocate, but here I am, everybody. There is incentive if he does reach the CFP. His base salary for each year on the deal increases by $1 million. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's like if I take you to the playoff, you're just giving me $1 million. But I get it. He's currently making $12.5 million per year. So okay. I'm more like, all right, let's get somebody at $4.5 to $6 million a year. I mean, I'll give you like $4 million if you make it to the playoff. And I'll give you.
Weren't they saying it was $1 million added to each year's salary, not just $1 million lump sum? Is how I read that.
Right.
Even if he only makes the college football playoff once, so he could make the playoff in 2026, and then that's really $4 million because he gets it. He gets that $1 million bump each year for the length of the contract.
Good correction.
I would do it every year.
Good correction. Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, I'm all about it. If Mike Norvell has an incentive-laden contract where it says you get to the college football player, you win the ACC, you get $1.5 million. But your base salary is $4 million. Yeah. Who's going to argue with that? You win a playoff game, you get an extra $750,000. Okay, man, now you've made $2.5 million extra this season. And you know what? You earned it. You're not getting paid for what you did. You get 2 years ago. You're getting paid for what you just did, what you just accomplished. We're all about that here on Wake Up Warchant, Aslan. Mm-hmm. We're all about it. If his contract, if the incentives turn out to where he makes it all the way to the championship game and wins it, and he ends up making, because of incentives and bonuses, like $13.5 million for that year, let's celebrate, man. You earned it. It's making $50 million because your team isn't any good and you get to go away, which is so backwards and needs to change now. And let's hope we've reached that point. Again, we'll see what Kiffin ends up with. I mean, Cignetti just signed a ridiculous extension. We'll see what Kiffin ends up with, and these presidents and ADs will just never learn. Hopefully the crew here has learned not to do this because it is about the players. It is about the players and not the coach. I want a coach that brings in players, but it has to be about player acquisition much more so than whatever you're thinking, that you got to have Brian Kelly or Lane Kiffin or James Franklin or bust, not at any expense. Go get you the OC at Oregon, pay him $4.5 million. Instead of paying James Franklin $13 million, go get the Oregon OC, pay him $5 million, and say, look, if you get us to the playoff, you get an extra. You get all this extra money. In the meantime, the $8 million we're saving on James Franklin, go get yourself some skill players. Well, there you go. And then you're going to hit your bonuses. Let's hope it works out that way, but it probably won't.
Yeah, we'll see how that all does work because, again, in this revenue share world, still is NIL, but it goes through the clearinghouse. So, I mean, listen, there's still bags, I'm sure, under tables, so that's probably more like what you're suggesting, which, hey, I'm sure we're not the only ones that are trying to look for other solutions like that. Not sure how to interpret this one, but it comes from 5'9", Corey, not 6'7", which apparently is the word of the year, which makes me hate this planet.
Yeah.
Anyways, 5'9" says, wake up, do you think FSU has a Mike Norvell problem or a money problem? Being that LSU fired a coach for losing to 3 top 10 teams this season. Granted, Brian Kelly wasn't a great fit, but he has not had 4-game losing streaks pile up like Mike. I don't know if what that suggests. Is it they have plenty of money, but he's just not acquiring the right talent, coaching well?
Yeah,
or?
I think that's what it's asking. Like, is this an institutional issue, or is it a Mike Norvell issue? Mike Norvell isn't any good issue. And, I mean, I would just say, even if Mike Norvell isn't any good, he went 13-0 2 years ago. I don't think it's an institutional issue. There's nothing that is fundamentally so wrong with Florida State that they can't compete. I mean, none of us believe that, right? You wouldn't be listening to this show if you thought that was the truth, that Florida State's just dead and they have no chance to get back to any type of respectability. I mean, again, it was less than 2 years ago. We were all watching a TV screen to see their name pop up for the playoffs. Less than 2 years ago. That we didn't dream that. They did have a 19-game winning streak. So it can happen, and it can happen with a coach that isn't even all that good. If you go get a really good coach that's invested, this thing could take off again like a rocket ship. But that's the $1 million or $50 million question, is who is that person? But no, I don't think – look, man, they just spent all that money on a football-only facility. They upgraded the stadium. They're apparently going to have to pay somebody $50 million to go away. They pay their coordinators very, very well. They have one of the highest-paid coaching staffs in the United States. And I'm going to guess they have one of the higher-paid rosters in the United States. Let's not act like they're poor. They're not poor. It's a pretty high-level, high-financial program. They've made a mistake, and it is not easy to just cut loose $50 million. We all understand that. Or whatever it would be with the buyouts and the offset language, $40 million. It's not easy to do that. But money is not and cannot be a factor when you're trying to put together a really good football program, because we all see how important it is. And they didn't invest all that money in that facility. They didn't invest all that money in that stadium. They didn't invest all that money in that head coach to then go suck for the next 5 years and just throw up your hands. That's not Florida State. That's not happening. I mean, they might not be great, but I'm saying that's not going to be their perspective and their opinion. It's like, we'll just wait it out for 4 or 5 years and see what the landscape is. No, they want to be good again, and they want to be good again quickly. It just, for no other reason than you wouldn't spend $50 million to let somebody go to then just kind of suck. If you're okay with just not being very good, keep them. And I guess right now they have. So what am I talking about? He's still the head coach here. So, maybe we'll know more, after Thanksgiving.
Would you have any different feelings? Like you mentioned the OC at Oregon, Will Stein. So would you have any different thought if this doesn't work out and there's 3-4 more losses and the administration moves on and they have to look for a coach? Would you have any different thought if they went that OC route and pull a guy like that away from Oregon versus let's just keep throwing the name Jake Dickert out there and maybe Wake Forest loses this week and that's part of the winning streak that keeps Mike Norvell around? But if they go after like a hot shot coordinator versus a coach at, a lesser program, because there's nobody they're going to pull that's, equal or better than Florida State, would that change your mind at all about where this program is at? Because if you're Jake Dickert, you walk from Winston-Salem to Tallahassee to be the head coach at Florida State. If you're Will Stein, you probably also walk all the way from Eugene, Oregon to Tallahassee to be the head coach. Would that indicate to you that, this is still a great place because these people are jumping at this opportunity, or that, we're maybe not as great as we think we are because we're having to go to guys that are, at a Wake Forest or a unproven coordinator?
Yeah, I wouldn't judge it like that. I would. I mean, I understand the question. No, I wouldn't lose any sort of. My opinion on where Florida State is on the pecking order wouldn't change if they went and got a OC from a big time program or a coach. They're both even to me. Like, they both have the equal chance of success. I would rather, as everybody knows, go get. Well, in Dickert coaches in the ACC now and is winning. And also won in the Pac-12. I think they must have been pretty good at Washington State. I don't know.
He won 7 or 8, I think, before they dissolved.
Yeah, I mean, it's Washington State. It's not the easiest place. But he was a Power 4 coach at another institution. So he's been around big boy football. I don't know where he was before Washington State. I know he brought in Cam Ward, so that's impressive. From Incarnate Word, he saw something there. But I because when you look around the landscape of college football, you go look at the best teams in the country. Where did they get their coaches? How many of them hired a Brian Kelly? Great, LSU. They went and got the biggest name they could possibly get. The head coach, the all-time winningest coach at Notre Dame, came to LSU. 4 years later, he's gone. 3.5 years later, I guess. And he did fine there. He was 34-14. But my point is, if you're not going to do that, look at everybody else. Georgia, I know he was an alum, and I know he had been in Alabama for a while. He had never been a head coach. Ohio State had never been a head coach. Oregon had never been a head coach. Those are, I think, almost without question, the 3 best programs in the country right now for what they've done over the last 4 or 5 years. The 3 most consistently great programs are Oregon, Ohio State, and Georgia. None of those guys have been a head coach for a second before they got to those jobs. You look at Georgia Tech, he was an interim coach. You look at Vanderbilt, he was a DC at Notre Dame. And, just on and on. Like there aren't – who else? Texas A&M, he was the head coach at Duke, which is very much the equivalent of being the head coach at Wake Forest. Now, he had more of a track record because he had been awesome as the DC at Notre Dame and A&M. But the overall point remains, right? Like I didn't judge A&M because they went and got Elko. And, in fact, the hire before they went and got a national championship head coach with a big name, the biggest name they could get. Everybody was stunned it happened, and he kind of fell on his face. They go get the guy from Duke, and now they're having the best season they've ever had. So there's no way to pinpoint what the right hires are, but I wouldn't think that Florida State – because who's out there? Is it Lane Kiffin or bust as far as who would be a big name? Like, screw the big names, man. Screw them. Go get somebody that can coach. Please, I'm begging you. Somebody that can coach and somebody that has a history of coaching and recruiting and developing really good football players that go on to play on Sundays. That's Corey Clark's. That's my PowerPoint. That I'll probably be giving to Peter Collins and Michael Offord later this week, everyone. If you have any other suggestions you'd like to give me when I meet with them in person, please let me know. Did that sound sarcastic enough, or do people think that I'm actually meeting with them? That was obviously very sarcastic. I hope people realize.
Come meet with Corey Clark later today at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 5 p.m. meet and greet at 2475 Appalachia Parkway. That is Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Hang out, have a cold drink, have delicious food. Any live music going down on a Friday night?
Probably, but we've made it where it won't start till 7.
Okay.
And I will be leaving probably right around 7. Going to go watch a little baseball with the kid. All right. So yeah, the young man, sorry, he's a teenager now. He's 17. He's almost an adult, which is insane. I don't know how you parents do it. Like the people listening to this that have adult children that are off living their own lives with their own kids and their own mortgages, like I can't even imagine Brady going to college next year and just living on his own.
It's going to happen,
horrifying.
Man. I'm sure
it's horrifying.
I'm sure John and Sharon thought the same thing.
No, I don't think so. I was kind of chill. If you can imagine that, Aslan, I was a pretty chill kid. I don't think they worry too much about me. Not like I worry about this one. So it's horrifying that he's going to be out on his own. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, we can talk about it. We can talk about rearing our children and parenting in general at the Corner Pocket from 5 to 7 later on today.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Why would you wander around a warehouse store looking for paint when you could just swing by your neighborhood Ace? In addition to Ace's award-winning service, we have top-rated paint brands. Plus, our color matching technology allows us to match any color. So stop wandering and start painting. Head to your neighborhood Ace today.
In Crawfordville, your home convenience store is Ace Home Center and NAPA Auto Parts, located at 2709 Crawfordville Highway. We are back. It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. warchantbogo, your promo code. I don't like doing this, but I'm going to have to do it, Cord, because it's on my reading list. But over at The Athletic, which, again, when you subscribe to warchant.com for only $1 a week, you'll get access to The Athletic for a year.
They're part of the family.
Yeah. Matt Baker, who covered Florida State for the St. Pete Times, Tampa Bay Times during the Jameis years, and drew the ire of FSU Twitter, has compiled a story over at The Athletic with the headline, Florida State beat Alabama, then collapse again. So what's wrong this time? And it comes down to, again, like you talked about, player acquisition, right? According to the story, Mike Norvell has signed 5 of FSU's 6 worst recruiting classes of the modern era, according to the composite rankings. None of them been higher than 12th. Shout out to a Democratic Nole on the message board for giving us the cliff notes on all this. His 6 classes have included only 10 players ranked among that year's top 100 national recruits.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
In the 6 years before his arrival, Willie and Jimbo combined to sign 32.
Which didn't equate to a lot of success either. I'd love to know who the 10 were that he signed. Did he say 10?
Yes.
They were the top 100. I mean, Azaria had to be one.
Yeah,
maybe
Charles,
Kevin Wynn.
Charles Lester, maybe Armella.
Croman Hawk.
Yeah, maybe Cromaw.
Yeah, Cromaw probably, yeah.
And he has lost his top-ranked commitment in 5 consecutive classes.
Yeah, that's a bummer, too. Some pretty high-profile ones, too, Aslan. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. I understand. I'm going to go read the whole thing, but I hope this is how I should frame it. I hope this doesn't read as though like Mike Norvell is not culpable. And, it's all about players. Players make plays, coaches coach, players play, and it's all about
I read it. It does
Okay.
not read like that.
Okay.
It's basically saying what the failure was, what his failure has been, and that's it. That's really the point, is that they don't bring in good enough football players. He has failed on that front.
And it's not just money. I mean, I don't know if he outlines that, but I understand Jordan Travis is out there pounding the pavement for his guy, and I get it. And money is
not as much after the loss to Stanford.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he kind of quieted down a little bit. I thought maybe I could be wrong.
I think I saw a breakout video afterwards that was like, we sucked when he got here because we sucked. It wasn't his fault. Nobody could have possibly done anything. He's like, we all laid our bodies on the line because we believe in that guy, and this team just is not doing that. And he talked about, he texted Devin right before Tommy's run against Stanford where he kind of let his body out. He's like, that's what they need. And I don't know, it's still full-throated defense of his guy, which is admirable, but I just hope he doesn't tarnish his legacy amongst the fans for defending him so vehemently. But
it's good, like I said when we talked about it before. I think it's. I don't agree with what he's doing and the tact he's taking. I understand it, though, and I do think it's very commendable. Yeah. It makes him look like a better guy, I think. As long as he's not criticizing how much money people are giving to the university. Like, you got to pony up. Like, that's not what you do. But the fact that he's defending his guy, I think, is commendable. I don't like the guys that played for Norvell that might be saying things or tweeting things that aren't productive, let's say. So, yeah, we can't have it both ways. I can't get upset at a kid for criticizing Norvell after he's left, just like I wouldn't criticize Jordan Travis for defending him. But anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so what did you take away then from Baker's kind of 30,000-foot view of what's going on here and what has happened and transpired? I
mean, yeah, he talked to Jacoby McDaniel. He said a lot of people inside the program, but a lot of them were former players and not players of Mike Norvell's era. It was Jacoby McDaniel,
Carlos Williams.
And Carlos Williams out of nowhere. Where'd that come from? I mean, a great player when he was here, pretty good player, could have been awesome. But I don't know that he's really connected to the program anymore. Yeah. He's a fan, just like a lot of people are now. But I don't know that he's connected. But anyway, they were saying it's not what Florida State looks like. It's not what the Florida State they knew. And no duh. We could talk about the message being lost, that the players tuned them out, that they don't play hard for them, whatever you think the problem is. The biggest problem is, the overriding problem, as we all know, is the talent level. It's good enough to raise up because of parity in college football and beat in Alabama. It is not good enough to be consistently good, because when you're not supremely talented and you have a dip of a game, you lose that game. When you're supremely talented and you have a dip, you can still manage to win 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 6. But when you're not all that talented and you don't have a lot of physicality and NFL athleticism to turn back to, even if things aren't going well, you don't have a ton of special, especially on defense, that's how you lose 4 in a row. And that is all on the head coach. It's all on the head coach, just like it was last year. He's the one that put that roster together. He thought that was good enough. He looked at that roster and said, yep, we're all set. Get ready for Charlotte, boys. He saw that and put that together and thought it was going to be good, thought that offensive line was perfect. But big guys coming back, a lot of maturity, a lot of experience. We should be one of the best offensive lines in the country. Darius Washington's going to be one of the best players in the country. All of these misevaluations of his own guys. That doesn't even include the guys that he misses on the trail when he's trying to bring players in. But this is what you're left with. You're left with, legitimately, that's why I kind of like this staff. Arnaud can play. Earl Little, finally somebody decided he could play. They had Mekhi Danzy Aslan all of last year, too. The worst offense in Florida State history had that dude on the sideline and never effing played him. This staff at least plays the good players and plays the young players because they went and evaluated and realized. Let me put it to you this way: if the Desirs had come last year and been a part of the 2024 team, I don't think there's any chance they're playing this year. They're certainly not playing the first drive of the Alabama game. This staff at least identifies young talent, and even if it's young, they'll take some lumps because they know they're going to be good. Their ceiling is so much higher than these older guys that don't do anything. And so at least you have some young guys that are making an impact. Finally. But it's probably too late. This is what we should have been seeing in 2023. In 2022, you should have been seeing some young guys make a dent in the rotation, make a dent in production. Who did you see in 2022? Who were the young guys that did anything? Were there any? I guess Toafili was kind of considered a young guy because he was a sophomore.
Drayshawn Ward, right? We lost him.
He was a walk-on that was 23 years old. Like, you didn't have any freshmen doing anything. Anywhere on the field.
No high school receivers.
You didn't have a Desir. You didn't have a Kevin Wynn. You didn't have a Danzy or a Crowmaw or even a Maury Williams playing a little bit of both ways. You didn't have any of that. Or a Boggs, who was going to be a really big-time player for this team, I think, this year, but just can't get healthy. So that's the issue. Is now it's too late. You do have a nice young core of guys that by the time they're juniors might be badasses, might be really, really good college football players. But they might not be here. You almost certainly won't be here. And that's because the 2022 and the 2023 team, it was all Verse, Travis, that offensive line, Johnny Wilson, Trey Benson. There were never the Deloach, Bethune. It was all older dudes, which was awesome for that team. But there was no development coming up from within. There were no good players at the bottom of that depth chart trying to work their way up. And now there are. You have an Arnaud. You have a Charles Lester who might be a pretty good quarterback who can hardly get on the field. There's real competition at DB. But it's probably too late, sadly.
I think last question on the mailbag, then we'll get to our over-unders. Noel Dad for life. Wake up, brethren. It is game week once again, and like this time last year, I've all but checked out on college football. So I'm hitting you with a question unrelated to this week's opponent. With the success of Link Jarrett on the diamond and Luke Lauk seemingly having the basketball team in the right trajectory, the common thread between them is they're both former Noles. So which former Noles would you want running the football program? Dion, the easy answer, but is it?
No, not that easy.
I wonder if a guy like Jameis could come in and turn us around. Just a thought for you guys. I don't want to compare Link and Luke. Let's see what
Luke the team looks like, right? Link in Link's first season was the worst in school history, legitimately.
Horrendous, yeah.
Yeah. So, but he's clearly awesome. The difference between Link and Luke is Link had done it in other places and been to the College World Series with Notre Dame. So we know he can do it at this level. I think Luke can do it at this level. I know they're going to be more fun to watch, but let's see when they start counting the game, when the games start counting what this product looks like.
Yeah. Actually, I think we kind of touched on this. People talk about Winky and during the live chat, which, by the way, after you said badass, I realized you dropped the S-bomb, and I forgot to bleep it out on the podcast version. So sorry.
Oh, well, sorry to your kids,
Sorry
everyone.
all the kids. Sorry to all the kids that are out there, everybody. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who Marvin Jones is coaching a arena team, I think. Maybe we can bring him back home, and he can coach too. But who would I want that's got Florida State ties running the football program? I don't know, Corey. Who you got?
Nobody. Not that I wouldn't want anybody. There's nobody that jumps to the front of mind. Dion, no. It bothered me when he said he wasn't a Nole. He took your biggest all-time recruit away. He's never really shown a lot of love for Tallahassee since he's been back. And, his team sucks again. And he doesn't have any kids anymore to coach. And I don't know how invested he would be as a college coach. But legitimately, you would never hire a losing coach at Colorado to come be the head coach at Florida State. And I'm pretty sure Dion has a losing record at Colorado. So now we're good. Aside from the other things that I just mentioned, And then Winky hasn't been a head coach, hasn't even been a coordinator. So I would wonder about – also, Winky's personality, I know he was very prickly, let's say, when he was the quarterback here. I can't imagine he's gotten softer as he's gotten older, but I could be wrong. But I don't know what that personality would be like running a program. I just heard stories that he was like he was a hard ass. Sorry, I keep saying you should be able to keep that, Aslan. Come on. We're 2025. I'm not telling a dirty joke. We can keep that. And that's a perfect word. That's a descriptive word. Okay. It means something. People know what that means when you say that. But so I don't know how good a head coach he would be. I would like him to see it do. I would like him to do it somewhere else. And I don't know that there are any assistant coaches out there that with Florida State ties that would be an automatic yes. So, I get these. I get the sentiment. I understand it, but you can't handcuff yourself to just that, to say they've got to be a Nole, because quite frankly there just aren't a lot of candidates for something like that. Now, Jameis, when he's done playing, and if he wants to get into coaching, I think that could be fascinating. Fascinating. Because his name still rings out. People know him. He's a famous football player and was a very good one, especially at the college level. And that personality is as big as a state. You just, again, I'd like to know, and I know he knows football. Like, he's kind of like a football savant. If he could recruit or develop whatever he would need to do, that will be interesting to see if he wants to get into coaching. I would assume he wants to get into broadcasting, which is what he should do. Yeah. But if he doesn't and wants to get into coaching, that would be just fascinating to see what he would turn into.
I'd let Martin Mayhew be our GM.
Yeah, but where is he now?
Who knows?
He was the Detroit Lions GM.
Yeah, maybe not GM, but like, I don't know if they have like a director of ops, just like the overseer of everything. I feel like, I don't know if I want to necessarily identifying all the players that we're picking out, but I just feel like he probably could pick out good coaches, good support staff, and set a good agenda for a program.
Here's what I would do, honestly. If I'm Michael Alford and Peter Collins and everybody else that's making the decision, and I want to go hire a really good GM, somebody that I absolutely trust, I would call up any contacts or figure out a way to get to the real 411 on what's going on at Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, probably Indiana, but at least those first three, along with Notre Dame, and name one other school, big school that always wins. Who do you? Alabama, I guess. I don't know what their turnover was.
Texas.
Who? Texas. Sure. Yeah, Texas, because Texas has personnel. There's got to be a GM that gets all the praise and all the glory for putting together those rosters at those schools. But there's somebody right below that person that's doing a lot of work, at least at one of those schools, that should be getting more of the praise behind the scenes, but nobody really knows that name. I'd go get that person. The person that's the number 2 at one of those schools when it comes to player personnel, but has a real role in identifying and evaluating talent. And go find them. Martin Mayhew, I know he knows football. Obviously, he's a very smart man, but he played football. His last year here was 1987.
Oh, but he retired last year after 26 seasons. Like, he's been active. He's 60 years old.
No, right. But that was 38 years ago he was involved in college football. 38 years ago. Things have changed.
I know, but we keep saying it looks more and more like professional football now, so...
I'm talking about, like, Martin Mayhew might be good at identifying a 22-year-old if he can play in an NFL defense. It's a whole different ballgame when you're trying to identify an 18-year-old and trying to project what they might be in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, he's never had to look at an 18-year-old's film or a 17-year-old's film and be like, well, that guy could be awesome in 2 years. You put 35 pounds on him. He's already kind of looking at ready-made products. But the structure of what you have to do to put together a roster, I'm all for it. And if you want somebody to do that, to like allocate money, to figure out where you spend the most of your money, who deserves this and that, I'm all for someone like Martin Mayhew. I'm talking more about the actual identifying and evaluating high school talent.
Okay, all right, I got you.
That's what I mean. Yeah. But the structure of the roster, or going and looking at a 22-year-old from James Madison that wants to finish out at Florida State, by all means bring a Martin Mayhew on board. But I want to go get one of those guys that keeps flooding Ohio State with really good – and it's not all about the money. It just isn't. A lot of it's the money, but it's not all about the money. Why is Ohio State's defense so flippin' good? Why? What's going on there? Why do they always go get the best receivers? Always. Figure that out and make it happen here.
We had a question from, I think, Jengalang, but I don't know. I have not read up on the TMH, Florida State, sale, merger, or whatever we're talking about. But if I do, I'll come back and reply to you at some point, let you know what I'm thinking about or how this is affecting the finances of everything. And then last one, Marlon Joker just said, everybody in this fan base wants to see a freshman quarterback play, but what in Mike's history lets us believe that this is the play? Do we really want him to ruin another future quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think everyone does. I think there's definitely a vocal contingent that would like to see Sperry play. I'm not on board with that at all. I think that would be a mistake.
Agreed.
Again, Tommy's the starter for a reason. It's not like Sperry looked nonplussed when he was in the game. He took a couple of awful sacks. That's not all on him. Like, it's crazy they just kept dropping him back when they were only, they were 40 yards away from the end zone with 2.5 minutes to go and 3 timeouts. You could have run the ball, but he did not look completely comfortable. So there was nothing that I saw there that I would say, okay, that's your best option. So yes, but also to that other point, yeah, when has it ever worked out here? Man, the freshmen don't look good when they play here ever. He is not. I don't know. I think Kevin Sperry could be good. Don't know it. Don't see it. Clearly, Brock Glenn isn't the guy. He's behind a true freshman. He's been here 3 years now. Cromanhawk wasn't the guy. A.J. Duffy wasn't the guy. Tate Rodemaker wasn't the guy. On and on and on and on. Maybe Sperry breaks that trend. But again, there's no world where if it's close to even, he's playing Kevin Sperry over Tommy Castellanos. There's just no world. He's trying to keep his job. And Kevin Sperry won't do well enough, and he is not a big enough, big-time prospect like the great DJ Lagway, that if he performs well and they lose a couple of games anyway, that it keeps Norvell here. This is not that. This is not being tied like Leonard Hamilton to Jonathan Isaac. Kevin Sperry might end up being a good college quarterback. I don't think he's one now. And Mike Norvell needs to get the best college quarterback he can right now on his roster to play on Saturday night to hopefully win a game and stop a losing streak and maybe start something. Right? Like he's coaching for his life. You don't throw a true freshman that's had 9 competitive snaps in his life into a game like this against what is a good defense. Like 26th in the country scoring defense, 20th in total defense. They should have beaten Georgia Tech. They got screwed, as Mike Norvell said earlier this week. They held SMU. SMU scored 35 points at Clemson and then went and scored 1 touchdown against Wake Forest. So you're dealing with a real defense. Yeah. I don't know that Sperry's ready for that. Tommy might not be either, but I feel like Tommy gives you a better chance to win.
I remembered as soon as Mike left on Wednesday. I wish I would have asked him. So shout out to you for asking him about special teams because that was something that we had been thinking about. But we also mentioned.
I really was going to ask that question, by the way. And I was like, man, this will. Because I even told Ira, I'm like, you're going to like this question. And then I'm like, I can't be this guy. But I was just going to frame it. How much do you guys practice special teams anymore?
Yeah.
Or do you guys still practice special teams? But I was like, man, that's going to come off really snide and snarky, and I'm not trying to be. I legitimately wonder, though, because what's the point? They've had 6 kick returns all year, Aslan. Florida State has. They've returned 6 kicks. They've had 1 kick returned against them all year. It's like 38 out of 39 touchbacks. 1 kick return.
Well, I think that indicates they probably are not, even though he said that he says it's still important, but he didn't necessarily say that we're still investing the same amount of time.
Because it would be preposterous, right? Yeah. Just go find guys that'll run down the field on kickoff coverage, and if the dude actually comes out for some reason, go run to him and make a tackle. Guys, they would literally practice that for 10 minutes every day. Speed! Norvell would yell speed like that.
He yelled it after their last score of the game too. Like they showed him on the TV feed against Stanford, and you can see him. He was like leaned down with his hands on his knees, and he puts his hands over his mouth. He's like speed. I'm like, oh,
for the kick coverage.
Yeah.
They might have actually returned that. One of them they actually returned one of the kicks in that game. But, yeah, so they would do that for at least 10 minutes, like kick coverage. And they cared about it. They would talk about how, they would talk about the returns, like this is how you set up your blocks. This is where your feet are supposed to be. They would talk about the gunners running down, like what lane they're supposed to be in and what technique they should be using to get around their blocker for 10 minutes of a 2-hour practice. And if they're still doing that, that is an utter waste of time because, as I just said, they've had one kick returned all year. They've had one punt return all year. And I think that was the Stanford game, right, where the kid had a 26-yarder because Chimento looked like he punted to the other side of the field accidentally. But they've had 2 returns all year on them, so it would make no sense to practice that for 20 minutes a day. That is just not a wise allocation of time.
Didn't they do the okey doke against Stanford that they did against NC State?
And what was crazy about it is the cameraman caught it. Like, the cameraman saw it the whole time. He goes and watches McCoy, I think it was McCoy, right?
Yeah.
Pick up the ball and start running, and you're like, where's the team? And they never did a good job of showing again what had happened. That whoever the main punt returner was, Squirrel, ran over to the other sideline like the ball was coming to him. And so everybody, you guys know how it is. If you're on a punt cover team, you're not looking up. You're just looking at what the punt returner's doing. And if he rolls to his right, like that's where the punt went, you're all going that way. Meanwhile, the punt was actually to the left, and McCoy picked it up and ran it back for 30 or 40 yards or whatever. It was a really nice play, just like they did at NC State 3 years ago. But each time they do that, they lose the game. It's bad luck. It's a really good play, and it worked. But it's bad luck. But, yeah, so they've had 6 kick returns all year. Like, what's the point? Why wouldn't you just tell Jalen Lucas to run it out? If you practice it so much, run it out. But I think they have really dialed down on that practicing, which is why I asked the question.
All that to say, the opportunity is now gone. But I did wish I would have asked him about why they went to Kevin instead of Brock. But I don't know really what kind of answer we would have got. But that was something that probably should have gotten on the record to see, like, is it injury? Is it production? But,
hey, we might get to ask that again. Season's not over, my man.
2 weeks ago against Stanford, Coach, the 4th of the 5th straight losses.
Yeah, right.
All right, mad dash to the finish line. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Warchant BOGO, your promo code. Over-under contest. $25 cash money. Well, not cash money. $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold up for grabs. $10 to non-subscribers. So we'll tweet it out from either the official Warchant account or maybe the Wake Up account. But our subscribers, top subscriber gets $25 gift card. Non-subscriber gets $10 gift card if they win the over-under contest. Should we do a Kevin Sperry reps? Snaps?
No.
Okay.
No, let's not do that.
Okay.
It's a good guess, though. That's a good idea. But no. Don't we think that's going to be – what would you put it at? 0.5?
Yeah, probably.
You think he's going to play or you don't? Or he doesn't? And plus, we don't know the availability report yet.
Right. All right. Usman Croma, longest rush.
How about Usman Croma snaps?
Okay.
I'm going to say 16 and a half.
Okay.
Not carries, not touches, but just total plays.
All right. Deuce Robinson, longest reception.
Let's say, what do you think? 29.5?
Right.
34.5?
31 and a half.
You want to do that? Yeah.
31
Let's split the difference. 32 and a half.
32.
Yeah.
32 and a half.
Big play. Big play Deuce. Hey, he's been a good addition.
Yeah.
Don't lose sight of that. Deuce Robinson's been a really good football player.
Total receiving yards from the tight ends.
Oh, all right.
65 and a half.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
It is.
I would knock 20 off of that.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. 44 and a half.
Right. Tommy Castellanos rushing yards.
Okay, let's do. See, I think he's going to be fresh, Aslan.
Okay.
I think this has done him some good. I think he's going to look like the Tommy from Alabama. I shouldn't say that because I'm going to set the under low. How about we do like 31 and a half?
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
But I think there's a chance if he's feeling frisky, he could get up to like 50 or 60. Like remind the world again what this offense looks like when he can actually run.
Gotcha. You want pressures? James Williams, the Williams brothers, pressures again?
How about interceptions total?
Okay.
Well, I guess we just put a half, right? Our turnovers total? Like, keep in mind, Wake Forest turned it over 5 times against SMU. And we don't know who their quarterback's going to be playing. Neither one of them are great. The guy that's not Robbie Ashford's a little dicey with the ball.
Purdy. He is James
He's Chubba's
Blackman
brother, right?
Reincarnate. Correct. Yeah, Brock's brother. Yeah.
He's Brock and Chubba's brother,
Yeah.
the long-lost brother.
Yeah. No, he is James Blackman reincarnate. He is he's tall, slender, really live arm, but also sails it, sprays it a lot. So opportunity will be plentiful if he takes a lot of dropbacks.
So let's say turnovers total 1.5.
Okay. You want to throw a special teams one in there? Kick return?
Yeah. How about Florida State touchbacks?
The kicking
Because
team, like Shementa or Weinberg kicking out?
Yeah, Weinberg kicking off. How many times does he get a touchback? He's only guaranteed of 1 kickoff.
Right.
So you have to do the math of how many times you think they're going to score and kick off. I'm going to put it at 5.5.
Woohoo! That's a big.
Hey, that could be 3 field goals and a touchdown.
That's true.
Or it could be 4. It could be 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. Okay. All right. There it is. I will put a tiebreaker in there. Usman Kroma snap 16.5. Deuce Robinson, longest reception, 32.5 yards. Total receiving yards from the tight end group, 44.5. Tommy Castellanos rush yards, 31.5. Total turnovers gained by the Florida State defense, 1.5. And the amount of touchbacks the Florida State kick coverage unit gets, 5.5. Go to warchant.com. Keep your eyes out on Twitter for the link. Probably tweet that out on Saturday afternoon before the game. So get involved. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Check out Warchant TV, our YouTube channel. There should probably be a video sometime Friday, late morning, about the injury report and what it could possibly mean. Pre-game show, 9 a.m., meet and greet, game day, Hotel Indigo, 4 p.m., Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang. Post-game show, 10 to 15 minutes afterwards. Warchant Rap, presented by Dun 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 Cummins, maybe?
There we go. All right.
We'll see. And the meet and greet tonight, 5 p.m., Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Lots
Come
of
say
promote.
hello.
Lots
Come
of
say
promote.
hello. Don't be a stranger. If you see me over there yapping with people, interrupt. And I'm not joking. Come say hello, please.
He's Corey Amazon. Thank you for listening to another week of Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy. Warchant BOGO, your promo code.